It was not intended for Scarlett Johansson to appear in this movie. The movie was planned to feature her. Before it even began filming, Wolves was already generating Oscar hype. Scarlett plays the lead for the first time since Marriage Story in this realistic dystopian thriller from the director of Arrival and Nomadland. CGI is minimal, just one scene, tension and emotions, no publicity gimmicks. The type of films that film studios used to produce but now seldom ever do. It was not even yet made public. No article of Variety, no trailer teaser, no tweet announcing anything. However, behind the scenes, there was a problem. The table read had already been completed by Scarlett. They signed her contract. Midtown was the scene of costume fittings. Then there was stillness, no call sheets, no emails, no affirmation, nothing at all. What was unknown at the time? A very secret meeting had just been held at the studio. Blake Lively presented herself as a more contemporary, marketable version of the same character during that encounter. For some people, apparently quiet prestige is insufficient unless it contains them. The position had not yet been filled. However, Blake made Scarlett feel as though it had never truly belonged to her in the first place. Scarlett has played games before. She has witnessed the consequences of a studio losing interest. There was no doubt, however, this seemed planned. 2 follow-ups were made by her team, but then again, no response. Until one evening, an anonymous message was sent by someone within. No salutations, no background, only a topic line. Draft, possible change in PR, the lead of Wolf. The file was not official, it was not approved. However, it was genuine. Inside, potential alignment with legacy-friendly household names. Slightly younger demographic pull. Previous Netflix testing favorable. Consider lively. Visual versatility plus marketable romance angle. Johansson was respected, but harder to rebrand post-Marvel. Assess. Creative. Risk. Tolerance. Translation. Blake did better on the algorithm test. What about Ryan? Yes, his name was included as well. Near the bottom, just one line. Reynolds may make a cameo through a production trade. Examine the package of kindness. A package of kindness. Like the issue was Scarlett. Ryan and Blake were also the favorites. Lively's team has been discreetly campaigning behind the scenes. According to industry sources, insiders say the studio is re-evaluating optics, although there is no official announcement on this. Heard a certain actress is about to steal a movie that was never hers. Blake, girl, let people work. The leak received no response from Scarlett. However, the world took note when someone liked that tweet on her account. Blake did the same. A subdued note appeared in Scarlett's team's inbox on May 3rd. Not a casting update, not a change to the script, only a vague calendar invite with the title, Alignment of Internal Brand Strategy. Wolves. Location, 11:15 a.m. Attendees who are confidential. Not in the list. Scarlett was left out. Her manager saw it right away. You ought to be in this. As composed as ever, Scarlett simply answered, if I am not, then someone else is. The meeting was not canceled. Still, they went. Her assistant then received a message from a different helper. There are 2 levels of separation, regulations for the Whisper Network. It simply stated that they are talking about optics. The doc no longer has your name on it. Hers is, however, B for initials. And then it struck. This was not merely studio scheming. It was exchanged. Blake was not only considering the position, already she was being positioned as Wolves' new face. What about Ryan? Conveniently, the previous evening, he had followed the Netflix casting executive on Instagram. Blake's team reportedly requested a rewrite to suit her strengths in a mystery thriller. Girl hasn't even been cast yet. Top comment. Imagine showing up to a role you auditioned for, only to find someone else already customizing it. Johansson was purposefully and strategically left out of early branding conversations, according to a number of insiders. There was no role loss for Scarlett. They were replacing her before the media took notice. However, there was a recorder in the room. There was no need for Scarlett to barge into a boardroom. She did not have to publicly criticize anyone, as it was done for her by someone, without intending to. A buddy of her assistant, the one who told her she had a tendency to hit records during meetings, it turns out, for taking notes. And a single 11-minute video? It traveled by airdrop to Scarlett, out of a restroom stall, in Soho House. The first half hour was dull. Buzzwords used in marketing. Discuss setting up the project for 2 demo pulls. Then the line appeared. A voice. Female. Polished and clipped. Nobody will even notice that Scarlett is gone if we frame this correctly. The narrative turns into Blake's audacious comeback rather than Johansson's subdued departure. One more voice, male, laughing. She is Marvel. Arthouse noir is what this is. It is a creative turnaround, we may say. The final voice? Cool, careful, recognizable. Ryan. Scarlet is an expert. She will comprehend the change in course. Eventually, Scarlet heard it without flinching. She merely gazed at the display. Hit forward after that. Forward it to a single individual. Hathaway Ann. Who else thinks it's weird Scarlet just got ghosted from a film she co-developed? Something stinks. I was on the Wolves set prep. Scarlet's name was on everything last month. Now, like she never existed. The audio belonged to Scarlet. She had a reason. She did not intend to reveal anything though. She had a more intelligent plan. Is there anything Blake Lively is unable to avoid? She is not the rightful owner of this spotlight. Thus, Vogue's Hollywood Future Makers Edition was announced, showcasing women who are using creativity, risk-taking, and vision to transform the industry. Blake insisted on a time slot, not asked for, not hoped, demanded. What, though, did she not anticipate? The cover had already been shot by Scarlet. The core idea? Before the storm, there was silence. In shadow, Scarlet, in command. Her name is followed by a single quote. Without me, they attempted to advance the plot. However, the finale is still mine. Not a drama, no outright call. However, insiders, they were fully aware of its purpose, because she had been pitched for the same cover by Blake's team, providing unique access to Wolves behind-the-scenes narratives. Blake as director was even suggested. What did Vogue say? A courteous rejection. Then they released the trailer for Scarlet's feature. After 3 hours, Scarlet just nuked Blake Lively's PR takeover with a single Vogue spread, and Ryan's nowhere to be seen. Hello? Blake remained silent. Ryan did not share anything. However, one comment from the pitch call was leaked by a Vogue editor. Our goal is to find the truth, not changing the brand. Ouch. This is the point at which things get risky on a professional level, because Scarlet was involved in another high-profile production while filming Wolves. Second Nature is a harsh Apple TV Plus limited series, written by a playwright who won at Sundance. Green light. Fixed budget. The leader was Scarlet. Weeks remained till production began, then poof. The script disappeared from the cloud of the studio. Not disclosed, not compromised, simply unavailable. The authors were in a frenzy. Legal intervened. There was a forensic trace, and there was no hacker as a result. It brought up a private review folder that had been forwarded to Ryan Reynolds' production partner for a private consultation weeks prior. Why? Because it seems that Ryan was interested in making things work for Blake from the beginning. Yep, as long as Scarlet remained attached. Can you guess what was in Ryan's notes? Too silent. More humor is required. Perhaps more in line with Blake's brand. Perhaps a more likable storyline is the result of rework. The boldness. They were not specifically accused by the studio. Obviously not. Hollywood is not like that. However, the same day the news was released, the showrunner published a thread that has since been removed. Funny how silence is a problem until a louder name wants the position. No names were mentioned in the tweet. However, a page 6 headline appeared the following week. In Apple's upcoming prestige blockbuster, did Ryan attempt to replace Scarlet with Blake? The producer is anonymous. We were defeated. 2 weeks of production over the aspirations of others. Ryan's notes nearly tanked the project Scarlet bled for. Blake's brand doesn't need every lead in town. The performance continued. Scarlet remained affixed. However, Blake Lively's name appeared in the initial consideration credits when the updated casting announcement was released, and that was not an error. No tweet was sent by Scarlet. She kept following. She did not leak an email or post a melancholy quotation. Something worse was done by her. For days, the whole crew was whispering about her when she arrived at the Wolves reshoots wearing a t-shirt. Plain white t-shirt, no name brand, only 3 chest-length words. I went through the notes. No names. No tags. On the set, however, everyone understood what it meant, because a screenshot of Ryan's private feedback document had been leaked by a production assistant just 2 days prior. Indeed, the note recommending Blake for the major role was too subdued. It was authentic. The wildest aspect, however, was not even that, because Scarlet attended a roundtable at Vanity Fair the very next day. You know, Oscar nominees acting like they all get along, the elegant ones in black gowns and the long looks. They didn't, in fact. The moderator asked, asked, "Have you ever had someone discreetly try to force you out of a project?" halfway through the interview. "Yeah, once," answered Scarlett with a sly smile after taking a beat and looking down, "and I hope a reimbursement was included in their notes." The whole table chuckled uneasily. One actress, however, did not chuckle. Anne Hathaway, sitting across from Scarlett. She simply nodded quietly, since everyone in the room had witnessed the aftermath of Blake's attempt to sabotage the Oscar at that point. They were also observing Scarlett's handling of hers. "I no longer compete for roles. I let the piece do the talking. Perhaps someone needs a louder mirror if that is too quiet for them." Second Nature was back on track by the conclusion of that week. What is Scarlett's name? Highest billing? Blake's? Never brought up again. However, another person was about to speak, since Emma Stone had also been observing. At first it was subtle, similar to this. There, a silent riposte. After that, Emma Stone included a one-liner in the middle of an interview for her Poor Things follow-up, a strange artistic work that left casual viewers perplexed and critics salivating. She was questioned about her devotion to Hollywood and how she chooses her collaborators. Emma delivered her trademark smile and shrug. "I prefer working with people who do not leak scripts," she continued, "or take them." Everyone in the room chuckled. Industry Twitter, however, did not. That was not a joke if you have been listening for the past month. It was a bullet. Emma Stone didn't name names, but she didn't have to. Blake, Anne, Scarlett, it's not a pattern, it's a playbook. However, it did not end there. A snapshot from behind the scenes was leaked. Not a self-portrait, not a fan shot. Studio lighting, proper. A table was read regarding a confidential Apple TV Plus project. In the picture, Anne, Emma, and Scarlett. Everyone is seated, the scripts are open, laughter and action. No title, no formal declaration. There is only one bottle of water on the table. Project Reset was written on a post-it note. The caption, 3 females, a single blacklist, and no patience. Are Anne, Emma, and Scarlett secretly banding together to oppose Blake Lively? Viewers and Hollywood insiders were no longer merely chatting at this point. They were making connections. The shirt of Scarlett, Emma's. Quote, Anne nodded quietly. That week, Reese made a side-eye post. There was no feud here. It was a retaliatory blow. What is Blake's worst part? No one invited her. Not to the film, not quite yet. Not to the rumor, anyway. Typically, Hollywood does not play fair. Now, though, it was playing loudly. Blake's attempt to delete the woman. She simply began to appear in rooms that she was unaware were reserved. The meeting. Thought to have been routine, Ryan Reynolds and some Netflix executives are on yet another branded Zoom call. On paper, a standard Wolves update, the progress of the edit, the potential appearance of the streaming deployment. Would they try to generate hype about the festival? However, someone altered the tone of the call halfway through. A young, outspoken junior distribution executive who was likely not familiar with Blake's damage control strategy voiced the one question no one had dared to ask aloud. Do we have a strategy in place for the Scarlett situation because your wife is perceived as having tanked her? Silence. A cough followed. People believe a lot of things, Ryan replied, leaning back in his chair. At that point, a more senior and intimidating executive voiced their opinion. What they think is not the issue. Who is growing louder is the issue, and who is becoming quiet. Wolves, not the film, will appear to be a scandal if this gets out of control. Internal marketing executive, Netflix, May 7th, 2025. Ryan did not respond to the question, as he was unable to. Not when the Reset initiative was already the subject of articles. Not when Blake's abrupt PR lockdown was being openly ridiculed in fan threads. Not when Scarlett's attorney had just subtly asked that the studio reevaluate her contract in light of the recent breach. To put it another way, Scarlett was getting ready to act, not in a loud or conspicuous way, but strategically. According to a tweet, hearing whispers that Scarlett's reps are prepping breach language. You don't hire that firm unless you're serious. Top response whispering Scarlett, Anne, Emma, and Scarlett came first. The wall of Blake's PR is crumbling. To make matters worse, the Wolves test screening report was revealed that same evening. It was also gleaming. Not for Ryan, though. It was said that Scarlett's performance was Oscar-worthy, stifled, and wild. Ryan's? Fine. Ryan remained silent on the internet. No story, no tweet, no reaction gift signature. Simply said, he did not post. Silence is not power when the internet turns against you. March. Ryan and Scarlett made made an announcement. April, on set there are rumors of conflict. May, Blake's name is discreetly associated with executive marketing consulting. Scarlett was abruptly removed from all promotional materials. And this was the last line of the video. Whether Blake Lively blacklisted someone is not the point. It is about how all the women around her have to struggle to remain visible. People ceased inquiring as to whether Blake was responsible at that point. They began to inquire about the next person. This time, not even Blake's own supporters were standing up for her. I love Blake, but even I gotta admit, it's giving Regina George with a Pinterest board. Reply: she was not broken by Barbie. This could. It was never brought up by Scarlett. She did not have to. Because Blake had attempted to make a resurgence. She just received crickets. Blake believed that all would be resolved by the post. Hollywood, however, had made up its mind. The hero was not her. The headline was about her.